Xia Zhuxing and I grew up together, and I secretly had a crush on him for 10 years. In our second year of high school, he started dating a troubled girl from the vocational school next door. When I told him Xia Chen bullied classmates and stole others' advancement opportunities, Xia Zhuxing snapped, "None of your damn business." The former golden boy began smoking and street racing, plummeting from top of the class to dead last. Later, Xia Chen gained minor fame from a web drama, but was exposed for past scandals and committed suicide due to depression. Xia Zhuxing blamed me for spreading rumors, and on the day I received my Tsinghua admission letter, he stuffed me into a sack and threw me into the sea. When I opened my eyes, I found myself sitting in my high school classroom. This time, I'll just wish them well. Let those toxic people stay together forever. Your handsome childhood friend is here. My deskmate Yang Xinran tapped my desk with her pen and whispered. I looked up to see a lanky boy in blue and white school uniform walking in, his arms stacked with books. I stared blankly at Xia Zhuxing standing before me. Just moments ago, he'd tied the sack with an unyielding knot and mercilessly tossed me into the sea. Seawater surged through the burlap into my lungs. Trapped, helpless, drowning as suffocation consumed me. "Chi Su, why so composed?" Yang Xinran teased. "Weren't you determined to pursue him this semester?" Scanning the classroom, I realized I'd been reborn on the first day of sophomore year's second semester. Right now, my crush is Chinese, math, English, physics, chemistry, and biology. I stroked my new textbooks and smiled. Boys would only slow down my study progress. He's ancient history. Drop it already. Queen behavior. Yang Xinran gave a thumbs up. So when are you acing the grade ranking and dethroning that Xia guy? My classmates kept teasing me as the cashier, all because I could never outscore Xia Zhuxing, that unfairly gifted prodigy. I checked the time. Soon, within a month, Xia Zhuxing would start dating Xia Chen from the vocational school next door, skipping classes, smoking, drinking, until his grades plummeted. Of course, I never cared about competing with others academically. The only person I needed to surpass was myself, in my past life. I gave up my guaranteed admission to Tsinghua University through the physics competition because Xia Zhuxing told me he'd believe I didn't leak Xia Chen's scandals if I forfeited the spot. Eventually, I relinquished it, took the national college entrance exam normally, scored 708, and got into Tsinghua. Meanwhile, Xia Zhuxing, shattered by Xia Chen's suicide, didn't even sit for the exams. His family ordered him to repeat the school year. On the day the admission letter arrived, Xia Zhuxing threw me into the sea. Quiet, Ms. Chiu, the homeroom teacher, walked in with a stack of test papers. After a whole vacation of fooling around, do you even remember how to write your own names? With that, she began distributing the papers. The classroom erupted in groans, everyone complaining about having a test on the very first day of school. As I got the test paper, I secretly marveled at how easy the questions were. After all, I'd just been reborn right after my college entrance exams. All that knowledge was still crystal clear in my mind. After school, while leisurely packing my things, I caught a faint whiff of soap fragrance drifting by. Xia Zhuxing rapped on my desk with an impassive face. "Hurry up, I don't have time to wait." With that, he walked away. I froze, suddenly remembering how I used to ride home on the back of his bicycle before he started dating Xia Chen. Shouldering my backpack, I hurried after him. Xia Zhuxing's bike was parked in the school shed. When I approached, he already had his headphones on, gripping the handlebars with both hands, giving me a weary look tinged with impatience. "What are you standing there for?" He motioned for me to hop on the back. I replied flatly, "I'll just walk home." Xia Zhuxing snapped irritably, "Stop arguing and get on already." "Really, don't bother. You don't need to give me rides anymore," I insisted. Xia Zhuxing frowned, giving me a once-over before muttering, "Suit yourself." With that, he rode off on his bike. The March air still carried a chill as Xia Zhuxing's uniform jacket billowed in the wind, his receding figure radiating untamed confidence. When I got home, Xia Zhuxing's mom was chatting with my mother. "Ponpon's back," Aunt Xia asked eagerly. "Why didn't you come home with Zhuxing today? Did you have cleaning duty?" I just smiled without giving a definite answer. My mom and Aunt Xia were college roommates who'd been as close as sisters. Aunt Xia always jokes that she arranged our marriage when we were kids, claiming me as her future daughter-in-law. In their past life, Xia Zhuxing dating Xia Chen drove Aunt Xia to hospitalization with rage. The second semester of junior year was overwhelmingly busy. Our school even canceled our participation in the upcoming spring sports meet. The entrance exam results are out. The class monitor waved a USB drive, plugging it into the multimedia computer before announcing, "Holy crap, first place, Chi Su took first, congrats." The previously rowdy classroom fell silent instantly. The whole class turned to look at the blackboard in unison, gasps rippling through the room. I wasn't the least bit surprised, nor did I feel any satisfaction. Outdoing Xie Zhuxing was never my goal. Many classmates came up to congratulate me. Another voice argued that the entrance exam proved nothing, that I'd just gotten lucky. Or maybe Xie Zhuxing hadn't studied much during winter break, and he'd effortlessly reclaimed the top spot soon enough. Who says I didn't study? Xie Zhuxing's lazy drawl cut through the air. Jisoo beat me by over 30 points this time. You think that kind of gap happens by pure luck? Is it really that hard to admit someone's better than you? The classroom fell silent. I listened quietly. Realizing this was exactly why in my past life I'd felt compelled to meddle, to convince Xie Zhuxing how unworthy Xia Chen truly was. To me, he wasn't just academically brilliant and handsome, he had a strong sense of justice. Watching him spiral downward, I couldn't just stand by. But this time, perhaps it's best to let fate take its course. After school, Xie Zhuxing walked home with me instead of riding his bike. What kind of gifts do girls usually like? He suddenly asked. Lipstick, bags, perfume. I listed them one by one. In my past life, I'd suggested hand-knitted scarves, only for Xie Zhuxing to mock them as tacky. He ended up giving Xia Chen a bottle of perfume instead, and they became a couple soon after. At the crossroads, Xie Zhuxing headed to the shopping mall on the pedestrian street while I went home to grind through practice problems. Sure enough, within a week, rumors about Xie Zhuxing's new relationship were circulating through the class. Bro Xia, don't tell me your girlfriend is actually that girl from the vocational school next door. One of the guys who usually played basketball with Xie Zhuxing asked. Yeah, Xie Zhuxing didn't deny it. Dude, are you cursed or something? That girl's got a terrible reputation. We were in the same class in middle school. She's a total flirt. Rumor has it she's already slept around. Thud. Commotion erupted at the back of the classroom. I turned around to see Xie Zhuxing brawling with that guy. One more word insulting her and you're done. She's not that kind of person. Xie Zhuxing straightened his disheveled uniform and strode out of the classroom. I rolled my eyes internally and went back to solving problems. That evening after school, Xie Zhuxing was kissing a girl in the dessert shop across campus. Admittedly, Xia Chen was stunningly beautiful, standing out effortlessly in any crowd with her natural star quality. She wasn't wearing her uniform. Her boatneck knit top revealed porcelain collarbones, while Xie Zhuxing cradled the back of her shoulder-length flaxen hair as they lost themselves in the kiss. Don't cry, sweetheart. Once we get into college, there'll be plenty of great guys. Yang Xinran chimed in reassuringly. Let's put romance on hold for now. I bought 2 starched sausages from a street vendor and handed her one. I'm aiming to become a doctor. 8 years of combined bachelor's, master's and PhD studies, plus residency. Wait, wasn't Tsinghua's physics department your dream? I shook my head. Peking University Medical School now. I used to follow Xie Zhuxing's footsteps, but from now on I'll carve my own path. Days passed one after another as the weather gradually warmed. After Xie Zhuxing and Xia Chen started dating, he stopped commuting to school with me altogether, even using lunch breaks to sneak off campus to see her. They became inseparable, completely wrapped up in each other. Occasionally Xia Chen would visit our school to see Xie Zhuxing. I'd hear people call her sis-in-law, and more than once caught Xia smoking off campus. I used to love watching Xie Zhuxing's slender fingers lazily twirl a pen while solving problems. Now he'd pinch cigarette butts, exhaling smoke like a different person altogether. The faint soapy scent on him had faded, gradually replaced by the reek of tobacco and alcohol. I'd become a complete outsider this time. Never confronting Xia about Xia Chen's shady past like I did in my previous life. Another difference was that Xie Zhuxing seemed less reckless than in his previous life. His class skipping had become infrequent, and he even turned in assignments regularly. Midterms arrived swiftly. As I carried the biology homework to the faculty office, voices and conversation drifted through the door. I've heard from several classmates that you're dating someone. If you don't perform well in the 6th school joint exam, I'll definitely inform your parents about your relationship, said Teacher Chiu. As educators, we naturally favor academically outstanding students like you, but if dating affects your studies, consider it over. You're about to enter senior year, almost an adult. Must I really spell out what matters more? I promise it won't affect my grades. Xie Zhuxing's tone carried absolute conviction. I'm feeling a bit dazed. Did Xie Zhuxing say this in our past life? Can't recall anymore. Suddenly, a shadow fell across my path. Xie Zhuxing emerged from inside unnoticed, giving me a casual glance, playing gatekeeper. With that, they left. When I returned to class, everyone was looking at me with unreadable expressions. Yang Xinran rushed over anxiously, saying, Fang Peng and Wang Tianxua were horsing around earlier and bumped into the cabinet. Things fell out, including your love letter to Xia Zhuxing. My mind went blank. There really was a love letter I wrote to Xia Zhuxing tucked away in the cubby cabinet at the back of the classroom. It just never got delivered. My crush on Xia Zhuxing was something I never confessed in my past life. That letter had long been forgotten, probably sold for scrap paper along with my exam notes after the college entrance tests. Guess this is what they call the butterfly effect. If I hadn't lingered outside the office so long and handed those papers from Teacher Chiu to the class monitor sooner, everyone would have returned to their seats earlier. None of this would have happened. The slightest flap of a butterfly's wings can set off monumental changes. My gaze landed on Xia Zhuxing. The love letter was right there on his desk, and he was staring back at me with unreadable intensity. Perfect. This time I didn't even try talking him out of dating Xia Chen. Yet he somehow found out about my crush. If Xia Chen gets exposed for scandals later, won't he suspect me of pulling strings again? I was about to explain when Xia Zhuxing cut in first. Chi Su lost our bet, so I made her write it to mess with her. We've known each other since elementary school. If we were gonna date, we'd have done it ages ago. We're practically siblings at this point. Zero romantic chemistry, okay. His tone was casual, expression utterly unguarded, not a trace of deception. My gaze locked with Xia Zhuxing's midair, surrounded by classmates' bantering laughter. The minor incident passed quickly without causing any ripples, and Xia Zhuxing never approached me privately afterward. Midterm exams arrived just like that. Surprisingly, Xia Zhuxing didn't skip the last 2 exams as he had in his previous life. After finishing the tests, I saw him rushing downstairs in a hurry, in a rare act of mercy. The school excused us from self-study. Yang Xinran and I spent 2 hours at a nearby bookstore, and it was already dark when we headed home. Walking past that alley, I caught sight of a familiar figure, a boy slightly hunched, desperately clutching the girl's withdrawing hand with pleading posture before pulling her into an embrace. I'm sorry, so sorry, this is all my fault. I should have gotten there sooner. Xiaochen, please forgive me. I swear it won't happen again. Xia Zhuxing's voice bordered on begging. I never imagined that aloof, arrogant boy could grovel like this. I called you 6 or 7 times, not a single answer. Xia Zhuxing, do I really mean nothing to you? Xia Chen shoved him hard. It's just a midterm. I was doubled over with cramps, nearly passing out. Where were you? Am I really less important than some stupid exam? I'm sorry. Xia Zhuxing hung his head low, gripping Xia Chen's wrist tightly as if afraid she'd vanish. Shut up. Xia Chen jabbed his forehead with her index finger and scoffed. Save your apologies. Handsome guys who actually care are a dime a dozen. Xia Chen doesn't need some bookworm boyfriend. We're done. Go be your perfect student. Xia Chen, panic cracked Xia Zhuxing's voice. Just this once, I swear. From now on, I'll drop everything when you need me. Please, this midterm was crucial. If I failed, my teacher would tell my mom. Ha ha ha. Xia Chen suddenly burst into laughter. She lifted her gaze, her striking features twisting into a mocking smirk. Xia Zhuxing, are you some overgrown baby, still clinging to mommy's apron strings? So you're actually scared of teachers tattling to your parents? What a pathetic coward. Xia Chen made no effort to hide her disgust. Xia Zhuxing simply pulled her into another embrace, his voice resolute. Chen, I want to build our future step by step. When I get into Tsinghua, I'll land a good job and give you a better life. I'll cut down study time, keep my grades up while spending more time with you. Okay. Oh, so I'm the one holding you back from Tsinghua. Xia Chen's expression remained impassive. What's the point, Xia Zhuxing? If you love studying so much, why bother with dating? Xia Chen. Xia Zhuxing seemed at a complete loss, helplessly watching her walk away, standing there awkwardly. I heard the person ahead say, getting a kick out of watching me get dumped. Are you? I rolled my eyes helplessly and kept walking. Don't panic. We girls do get moody during those days. She's just worked up right now. Some sweet talking should do the trick. Really? Xia Zhuxing stared at me intently, like a desperate patient clutching at straws. I nodded. In their past life, Xia Chen and Xia Zhuxing had their share of breakups and makeups, until Xia Chen took her own life, walking side by side with Xia Zhuxing. He suddenly said as we neared home. Let me borrow your biology notes. I'll return them tomorrow morning. My footsteps faltered as I stared at him in surprise. What's wrong? Biology class rep. He raised an eyebrow. I pulled the notebook from my bag and handed it over, only to snatch it back the moment he reached for it. What? Xia Zhuxing asked in confusion. Xia Zhuxing. I called his name, locking eyes with him. Did you get reborn too? The moment the words left my mouth, everything seemed to freeze. Xia Zhuxing looked shocked at first, then adopted an expression that said I knew it. So that's why you didn't badmouth Xia Chen this time. Hurtful words, even after getting a second chance at life. Does Xia Zhuxing still believe Xia Chen's well-documented scandals are fabricated? When the exposé came out in their previous life, Xia Chen publicly apologized to the bullying victims on Weibo. Her stans desperately tried to whitewash her, claiming it takes two to tango. If that girl hadn't been such a copycat deliberately dressing like Xia Chen, she wouldn't have drawn Xia's attention. As for the toilet water incident, they insisted it was just her minions doing and had nothing to do with Xia herself. Staring at Xia Zhuxing before me, I silently lamented how hopeless this guy truly was. Then again, even in his past life when Xia Chen took her own life, he'd still been head over heels for her. With those rose-tinted glasses permanently glued on, how could he ever see any fault in her? Chi-Su, I know this apology means little now, Xia Zhuxing said with palpable regret in his eyes, but I knew Xia Chen's scandal wasn't leaked by you even before you gave up your recommendation spot. I just needed someone to take it out on. Hearing these words, I felt strangely calm. Then why did you throw me into the sea? Xia Zhuxing fell silent. Maybe it was my dark side taking over. We grew up together, yet you gave up guaranteed admission and still got into Tsinghua. Your future's so bright. Meanwhile, without Xia Chen, I'm being forced to retake the exams next year. I wanted to drag you down into the abyss with me. Smack. I slapped him across the face. Xia Zhuxing turned his head slightly and said calmly, I jumped into the sea later to save you, but failed. I must have died too, which explains why we've both been reborn. As I turned to leave, I heard him continue. Chi-Su, this time I won't repeat past mistakes. I'll study hard so my parents have no reason to separate me from Xia Chen, and that whistleblower won't get another chance. Enough. Why are you telling me this? I cut him off. Since that's how it is, let's lay all cards on the table. Stay away from me from now on. We'll go our separate ways without interfering with each other. Chi-Su, you're a wonderful woman. I was such a scumbag in our past life. I truly don't want to lose you as a friend. Xia Zhuxing murmured as if talking to himself. I know you might look down on Xia Chen, but academic performance isn't the only measure of worth. She may have made mistakes before, but who's born perfect? Doesn't she deserve a second chance? In her previous life, she donated all her acting fees to Hope Mountain District. Enough, I snapped, unable to take it anymore. If you adore Xia Chen, that's your business. I have zero interest in learning about her virtues. 2. Chi-Su. Does this mean we can't be friends anymore? Xia Zhuxing asked quietly. I locked eyes with him and answered without hesitation. Correct. I'll never forgive a bastard like you. When I got home, Xia Zhuxing was still standing downstairs under the streetlight, his shadow stretching long across the pavement. Then suddenly, he slapped himself across the face. The midterm exam results came out. A joint assessment across 6 elite municipal high schools. The test was notoriously difficult, but I scored 684 points, ranking 15th citywide. Xia Zhuxing hadn't been fully committed to studying before midterms. Relying on his foundational knowledge, he scored over 570, a significant improvement compared to his past life, though still 100 points below his usual standard. I was discussing a math problem with my teacher in the office when Aunt Xia stormed in angrily, followed closely by Xia Zhuxing. Mrs. Xia, I understand how you're feeling right now. Let's sit down and work through this calmly. Zhuxing has always been an exemplary student academically and behaviorally. Save your breath, Ms. Chiu. Aunt Xia took a deep breath and glared at Xia Zhuxing accusatorily. Did you really think I wouldn't notice your sneaky little romance? I've been watching and waiting to see if you'd show some restraint. Had you scored above 650 in these midterms, I might have turned a blind eye again. I wanted to be an understanding parent. But did you give me that chance? Huh? Xia Zhuxing remained silent for a long moment before finally murmuring, Mom, I'll do better next time. Hand over your phone. Aunt Xia thrust out her hand. Now, must you make such a scene? I told you I'll do better next time. Xia Zhuxing turned to leave. Aunt Xia lunged forward, frisked him, snatched the phone from his pants pocket, and smashed it violently against the floor. The phone shattered instantly. Mrs. Xia, please calm down. This is a school, said Teacher Chiu with grave concern. We take Zhuxing's declining grades very seriously, but solving this issue requires. Before she could finish, Zhuxing had already bolted out of sight. He skipped classes for an entire week. During that time, I spotted him once at a supermarket off campus with Xia Chen. They picked up 2 boxes of condoms at checkout while she draped her arms around his neck, her eyes sparkling with mischief. They weren't wearing school uniforms. The handsome guy and pretty girl standing together made for an exceptionally eye-catching sight. Hello, I'm an executive agent from Stellar Entertainment. Would you be interested in signing with us? We currently have a supporting female role in a trending campus IP that perfectly matches your look, if you're interested. A man wearing a baseball cap handed Xia Chen his business card. Xia Chen examined the card with practiced ease, appearing completely unfazed, as if this happened to her all the time. I didn't linger long, just grabbed some yogurt chips and left. Xia Zhuxing returned to school promptly. Unlike his past self, he took studies seriously now. With his natural aptitude and focused classroom participation, his quiz scores showed steady improvement. Rumor had it Xia Zhuxing promised his family he'd score 680 plus on finals, or break up with Xia Chen. Conversely, he threatened to drop out if they kept interfering with his relationship. Aunt Xia was at her wit's end. While pretending to compromise, she confided in my mom. If he failed finals again, she'd resort to life-threatening ultimatums. She prayed daily for his romantic infatuation to fade. That day when Xia Zhuxing brought Xia Chen home, Aunt Xia even prepared a table full of her signature dishes. This was something that never happened in their previous life. It was clear Xia Zhuxing was genuinely trying to turn things around, but his ambition to change too much ended up backfiring. The day of final exams arrived amidst the sweltering June heat. As students exited the exam hall, a police car parked at the school gate drew bewildered glances from the crowd. The lead officer strode straight to the dean and demanded, "Where's Xia Zhuxing, officer? There must be some mistake. Xia Zhuxing is a top student. He'd never be involved in anything like this." Just then, Xia Zhuxing emerged. "I'm Xia Zhuxing. What's this about? A female student from the vocational technical school next door has accused you of attempted murder. Come with me to the station for questioning." With that, the officer took Xia Zhuxing away, gripping my backpack straps. Xia Zhuxing's words from that day suddenly flashed through my mind. I won't give that whistleblower any opportunity to strike. A chilling numbness seeped through every limb of my body. "Xia Zhuxing, you've truly lost your damn mind." Xia Zhuxing was escorted away by police in full public view. He appeared utterly composed, without a trace of panic. The classroom buzzed with students' animated discussions. Attempted murder. Even in his previous life when Xia Zhuxing wallowed in depravity, he never crossed the line into criminal insanity. I couldn't begin to imagine what awaited him next. The final exam results came out a week later. Though Xia Zhuxing didn't hit the 680 score he'd promised his family, his 653 total marks showed significant improvement from midterms. Sadly, Aunt Xia had no energy left to care about grades. Xia Zhuxing had been detained ever since they took him away that day, according to my mom. Xia Zhuxing anonymously threatened the girl before taking her to a surveillance-free area where he nearly strangled her to death. If proven true, Xia Zhuxing faces jail time. At 17, he's legally accountable for criminal charges. Xia Zhuxing now admits to sending threatening letters but denies any physical assault against the female student. With no conclusive evidence provided by the accuser, Xia was released after completing the maximum 15-day detention. The police issued disciplinary warnings, while the university placed him under probationary observation. Summer vacation arrived unnoticed. The next time I saw Xia Zhuxing up close was at my house. While Aunt Xia and my mom were chatting in the living room, he knocked on my bedroom door and asked, "Mind if I come in?" I glanced at him without responding. Xia Zhuxing swaggered in and placed 2 white rabbit milk candies on my desk. When we were kids, Xia Zhuxing and I used to compete academically. Whoever scored lower had to buy white rabbit candies for the other. I unwrapped the candy and popped it into my mouth, its creamy sweetness flooding my taste buds. "Aren't you afraid I poisoned it?" he remarked from beside me, sucking on the candy. I replied, "You wouldn't dare. You've still got your girlfriend to protect." "I never laid a finger on that girl," Xia Zhuxing said calmly. "Just scared her a bit." When I remembered how her exposé drove Xia Chen to suicide in our past life, I lost control. Luckily, I stopped at sending threats, reined myself in before crossing the line. Finally, he let out a soft chuckle. Even if I committed a crime, it'd be the perfect crime. No loose ends, no chance for her to go running to the police. He popped another milk candy into his mouth, puffing out his left cheek. As I stared at the tall, lanky boy before me, he felt increasingly like a stranger. Though Xia Zhuxing's second life seemed perfectly controlled, one misstep would plunge him into irreversible ruin. She's a victim of Xia Chen's bullying. How could she stay silent when watching her tormentor put on this hypocritical act for the cameras? I met Xia Zhuxing's gaze squarely and fired back. Does one mistake condemn someone forever? Doesn't Xia Chen deserve redemption? Her parents divorced when she was little, raised by her half-blind grandmother. Unloved and unsupervised like some feral child, Xia Zhuxing's voice cracked slightly. She learned to cook in middle school, still bears oil-burned scars on her hands. That abrasive attitude, just armor she wears to survive. His words left me utterly unmoved. So hardship licenses cruelty. Just because you've been rained on, you get to destroy others' umbrellas. Jisoo, you grew up in a loving family with doting parents, so you'll never truly understand Xiaochun's suffering. Xie Zhuxing's disappointment was palpable. When I saw her lifeless body in that blood-filled bathtub in our past life, do you know what went through my mind? I listened in silence. I kept thinking. Xie Zhuxing paused. Why didn't I meet Xiaochun when we were children? How different things could have been if our paths had crossed instead. I would have tutored her, helped her quit swearing, cooked her meals, rewarded every good test score with candy. Suddenly the white rabbit candy in my mouth turned cloyingly sweet, then bitter. It was too late. She'd already bled to death. Her suicide note said she was sorry and hoped I'd get into Tsinghua next year. Xie Zhuxing's eyes glistened with unshed tears under the lamplight. Thankfully I got reborn. When I saw her alive and kicking before me again, I swore silently to protect her with my life this time. Clap, clap, clap. I gave slow, measured applause and deadpanned. How touching. Such profound devotion. Unfazed by my sarcastic remarks, Xie Zhuxing replied calmly. One final competition then. This year's Gaokao, my score will top yours. With that, he turned and walked away. The scorching July heat made anywhere unbearable, so I spent my days holed up at home solving problems and watching movies. The brief 2-week summer vacation passed in a flash. While other grades hadn't started school yet, we were already considered full-fledged senior high students. The intense academic atmosphere was palpable from the very first day of school. Cicadas chirped incessantly outside while only the scratching of pens on paper filled the classroom. Thus began this year-long battle preparing for the college entrance exams. Though I'd been through it before with decent results, I still couldn't shake the nerves. After all, the goal has changed this time. Peking University Health Science Center admits relatively few students nationwide each year, with only about a dozen or 20 allocated per province, making the competition incredibly fierce. I study day and night, and when exhausted, I unwind by watching medical dramas. Xie Zhuxing was no exception. He rarely skipped class, did problems after lectures, occasionally consulted teachers, but would bolt out of the classroom like his life depended on it when school ended, not heading home, but going to find Xiaochun. While we were grinding away for the college entrance exams, Xiaochun dropped out, didn't even finish vocational high school, signed with an agency, and landed her first acting role as a supporting character. My days were a monotonous back and forth between school and home, nothing but study after study, though my grades were improving at a snail's pace. I learned this about grades back in elementary school. Climbing from failing marks to 90 is easy, but pushing from 95 to 100 is where the real challenge lies. Human capabilities have their limits. Nearly 2 months into the semester, temperatures kept dropping as fallen leaves carpeted the pathways. The first snowfall marked the end of our senior fall semester. Teacher Chiu approved class funds and generously supplemented them from her own pocket, having our monitor take us to a barbecue joint by the school gate. Our class of 30-something split into 2 private rooms. Yang Xinran and I shared a bottle of beer while light snow fell outside, the lamb spine hot pot bubbling away on our table. After dinner, the snowfall intensified, and our boisterous crowd launched into a snowball fight. Someone started it, declaring they'd test into Fudan University to visit the Oriental Pearl Tower at Shanghai's Bund. One by one, we all started shouting out our dream universities at the top of our lungs. I'm going to Peking University Health Science Center, I shouted into the snow-filled sky. Yang Xinran chimed in right after. And I'll major in finance at Central University of Finance and Economics. Our monitor deadpanned. Perfect pair, one'll rob people blind, the other'll finish them off. Yang Xinran and I locked eyes and burst into hysterical laughter. It was almost 9:30 when we got home. Xie Zhuxing, who'd skipped the evening barbecue, now stood at the doorstep. He pinned Xiaochun against the wall, kissing her lips fiercely. Sweetheart, congratulations on wrapping filming. With a slightly hoarse voice, Xie Zhuxing pulled Xiaochun into his embrace, tenderly stroking her long hair. Xiaochun had grown even more beautiful. They both glanced at me briefly before looking away, as if I were just some random passerby. As I walked straight home, I overheard Xiaochun's coquettish voice behind me. If you get jealous again next time, I won't comfort you. If you can't even handle a simple kissing scene in a school drama, what will you do when I film something more risque? I had no interest in listening to the young couple's flirtatious banter. After getting home and washing up, perhaps due to the alcohol, I fell asleep quickly. As Lunar New Year approached, Dad drove Mom and me to the supermarket for holiday shopping. After Andy Lau's Wishing You Prosperity finished playing, another festive tune Good Days came on. On New Year's Eve, the Spring Festival Gala played softly on TV in the background. my parents were complaining about how skits were getting duller, while I was busy grabbing red packets in our class group chat. On the first day of the new year, I treated myself to a rare day off, no alarm clock, waking up naturally, then meeting classmates in the afternoon to catch a Lunar New Year blockbuster. We watched 2 movies back-to-back until our butts went numb, then hit the arcade for some claw machine action, capped it off with hot pot, and went our separate ways. The mall was unusually packed today, as I adjusted my scarf and hat heading toward the revolving door. A familiar silhouette caught my eye near the elevators. The girl stood tall with an ethereal grace, completely absorbed in clinging to a handsome guy like lovesick teenagers, cooing like she was whispering sweet nothings. I tried to pretend I hadn't seen them, but the moment had already passed. Xia Chen noticed me, paused briefly, exchanged a few words with the guy before walking straight toward me. Whether in this life or the last, Xia Chen and I never really crossed paths. She only recognized me because my family lives next to Xia Zhuxing's, and he might have mentioned me to her. Saw everything. Xia Chen put on her mask. You and Xia Zhuxing grew up together. Let me guess, you're going to tell him I'm cheating, won't? I said firmly. Xia Chen raised an eyebrow. Whatever, doesn't matter. Xia Zhuxing's been fighting with me lately. We're basically done anyway. That's none of my business. I cut her off and walked away. When I got home, I saw Xia Zhuxing wearing a black hoodie and holding a trash bag. I walked past him without a glance, but he stopped me to ask which Lunar New Year movie was worth watching. He was planning to take Xia Chen. 3. Just check the reviews online, I said flatly. The 7th day of the new year came and went, and we were back at school. The break felt so short it might as well not have happened. The college entrance exam countdown in our classroom reminded us daily that June 7th was inching closer. My desk gets buried under endless piles of test papers every day, and a fresh pack of pen refills runs dry within days. Xia Zhuxing and Xia Chen reconciled again. After the mock exams, he knitted scarves in class, and they shared an intimate kiss in the alleyway on their way home. Xia Chen met my gaze without the slightest hesitation in her eyes. When the mock exam results came out, I secured the top spot in our grade with a score of 714. As for Xia Zhuxing, he's been spacing out since school started, barely scraping by academically, didn't even crack the top 100 rankings. It wasn't until recently when he reconciled with Xia Chen that he finally started taking things seriously. Meanwhile, the web drama Xia Chen starred and premiered. Despite its modest budget, the director nailed the casting with gorgeous leads. Combined with its source material, a popular campus novel, the show generated quite a buzz on its debut night. Some classmates were tuning in too. Some viewers called the plot predictable and cliched, but complaints aside, they still found it thoroughly entertaining. The show's viewership skyrocketed, sparking a wave of parodies on short video platforms, proving minimal investment can yield maximum returns. The drama's popularity has put its cast firmly in the spotlight. Beyond the leads, Xia Chen, who plays the second female lead, generated the most buzz. Xia Chen's newly opened Weibo account saw her follower count skyrocketing overnight, complete with an official fan club. Before the drama aired, her agency had crafted Xia Chen's public persona, a resilient girl raised by her grandmother despite parental neglect, who chose vocational high school to save money and enter the workforce early. In showbiz, academic credentials hardly matter. Countless stars never finished compulsory education, let alone consider vocational school dropout a stain. Yet history repeated itself. The same scenario from her past life unfolded again. Shortly after the series finale, marketing accounts received anonymous submissions exposing Xia Chen's scandalous school history, skipping classes to party, cycling through boyfriends faster than a rocket launch, ostracizing anyone she disliked, and forming cliques to bully classmates. Netizens joked, did a person accidentally grow on this pile of scandals? The hashtag Xia Chen bullying kept gaining traction, snowballing into a full-blown controversy. Days later, the bullied girl released a video showing her disheveled and sitting on the ground with blood at the corner of her mouth, while Xia Chen stood over her with crossed arms and a condescending glare. Flanked by a group of delinquent girls, Xia Chen slapped her hard, snapped her fingers, and her lackeys immediately rushed forward to kick and punch the girl. The video's visceral impact left no doubt. Xia Chen's bullying was now irrefutable. Under Xia Chen's latest selfie Weibo post, the comments section exploded with demands for her to quit showbiz and apologize to her victim. Some classmates were following the celebrity gossip too, but it was just casual phone scrolling and chit-chat between classes, nothing out of the ordinary. After all, celebrity scandals happen all the time, and Xia Chen wasn't exactly A-list material. For us high school seniors, entertainment gossip is just background noise, but for Xia Zhuxing, It was like a sword hanging over his head that finally dropped. He'd been absent from class for half a month. Auntie Xia kept coming to our house in tears, her hair visibly graying. She thought her son's romance was just a passing phase, never expecting it would consume him like this. When kids are 7 or 8 and misbehave, you can still scare them straight with a feather duster, but once they grow up, parents lose control, empty threats don't work anymore, you're left with two choices, cut ties or resign yourself to the situation. Aunt Xia clearly fell into the latter category. She was terrified that harsh words might trigger Xia Zhuxing's rebellious streak, then forget about college entrance exams. He might drop out of school altogether, at 1 a.m. I closed my book and glanced at the time on my phone. In my past life, Xia Chen had already slit her wrists by this point. It was evident Xia Zhuxing had made thorough preparations this time. The drastic temperature swings of early spring gave me a nasty cold, feverish and lightheaded. I spotted Xia Zhuxing walking arm in arm with Xia Chen while registering at the hospital lobby. After days apart, he looked noticeably haggard, with dark stubble shadowing his jaw. They headed toward the psychiatric rehabilitation wing. As I stepped out after my 4 drip, I saw Xia Zhuxing and Xia Chen emerging from a grocery store. He was holding her hand while carrying fruits and vegetables in the other, the two strolling leisurely down the street. Moments later, Xia Zhuxing set down the bags and adjusted Xia Chen's scarf. She suddenly burst into tears, burying her face in her boyfriend's chest as her shoulders shook with sobs. Xia Zhuxing returned on the day of our 100 days pledge ceremony. Classmates noticed his return but asked no questions. With college entrance exams approaching, nobody had energy for gossip. It was clear Xia Zhuxing was dead serious about pulling out all the stops to boost his grades ASAP. Sometimes when I hit the sack at 1 a.m., his bedroom light would still be on, while I was going all out with my studies. Xia Zhuxing was living 2 lives, juggling college prep while caring for his clinically depressed girlfriend, but tragedy struck nonetheless. When Xia Chen suddenly jumped to her death, her grandmother called Xia Zhuxing during class. Without hesitation, he bolted from the classroom. Xia Chen lived in a rundown neighborhood with 6-story buildings. Standing on the rooftop, she gazed down below. Xia Zhuxing climbed up to find her. Will they finally leave me alone if I die? Xia Chen murmured before stepping toward the edge. Stop. Xia Zhuxing's heart leaped to his throat as he sprinted forward recklessly. Xia Chen landed safely on the rescue airbag, but Xia Zhuxing wasn't so fortunate. His head struck the outdoor AC unit, and by the time he hit the airbag, he was already unconscious. When my parents and I visited Xia Zhuxing at the hospital, he still hadn't regained consciousness, his entire head wrapped in white bandages as he lay motionless on the hospital bed. Aunt Xia had been reduced to tears, while Uncle Xia wore a grim expression. As parents, we're completely devastated. Our bright, promising son was about to take his college entrance exams when this terrible accident happened. What did the doctor say? My mother stepped forward and asked. Auntie Xia wiped her tears and sobbed. He's out of immediate danger, but there's still a blood clot in his brain. We don't know when he'll wake up. Ah, my mother sighed softly. Take care of yourself. When Zhuxing wakes up, I'm sure he'll have so much to tell you. No amount of comfort could ease the pain now. Auntie Xia's eyes reddened as she spoke. He's never given us a moment's worry since childhood. Such a bright boy. How could he fall for that kind of girl and nearly throw his life away? Just then, Xia Chen came hurrying down the hallway with panic written all over her face. Auntie Xia's expression darkened instantly. What are you doing here? She snapped. Haven't you done enough damage to my Zhuxing? I'm sorry. So sorry, Auntie. Xia Chen's face was filled with remorse. This is all my fault. Could you just let me see Zhuxing? Just one glance. I swear I'll never appear before him again. How dare you show your face here? If it weren't for you, would he be lying there now? Auntie Xia was nearly hysterical, her voice hoarse from screaming. You almost cost my son his life. With that, Auntie Xia slapped her across the face. A bright red handprint bloomed on Xia Chen's pale cheek. Tears streamed down her face as she looked up with a bitter smile. Auntie, why take all your anger out on me? I'll admit responsibility for Zhuxing's injuries, but it takes 2 to tango. I've tried breaking up with him multiple times, but he clings like bubblegum that won't come off. Your son was the one insisting on this relationship, not me forcing him to stay. You. Aunt Xia gasped with rage, her chest heaving violently. Get out of my sight, Auntie, I'm not going anywhere. Xia Chen remained stubbornly indifferent, tilting her chin slightly. Her natural features remained exquisitely defined without makeup. Few people have genuinely loved me my whole life. Who knew Xia Zhuxing would risk his life for me? How unfortunate. I'll haunt him like a vengeful ghost from now on. Aunt Xia clenched her fists tightly as she watched Xia Chen's retreating figure. The weather grew warmer, with peach blossoms lining the roads. while freshmen and sophomores exercised during the long break. We remained cooped up solving problems in the classroom. Xia Zhuxing's seat sat empty, and test papers no longer made their way to his desk. After the mock exams ended, my parents took me out for steak dinner, saying I'd lost weight from studying too hard. We'd just left the restaurant when Aunt Xia called. Xia Zhuxing had regained consciousness. I expected to find Aunt Xia weeping with joy at the hospital, but instead she was arguing with Xia Zhuxing. The hospital door stood ajar, letting the heated argument inside spill out. Are you trying to be the death of me? What's so special about her? There'll be plenty of time for romance later. Zhuxing, you're 18, a student facing college entrance exams. She's just some dropout delinquent. What could you possibly see in her? I need to see Xia Chen. Mom, please let me see her. Is she hurt? Xia Zhuxing's voice was faint with exhaustion. What if I forbid you from seeing her? Aunt Xia retorted. While you were unconscious, she came to visit. Just wanted one last look before leaving forever. Zhuxing, you'll never see her again. Ah, it was Aunt Xia's startled cry. We rushed into the hospital room to find Xia Zhuxing, his head bandaged, standing by the bed with a fruit knife pressed against his wrist. Let me see Xia Chen. I need to see her safe and sound with my own eyes. Xia Zhuxing stared fixedly at Aunt Xia, his eyes filled with unyielding determination. Aunt Xia closed her eyes briefly before walking out of the ward in tears, a silent surrender. My parents went to comfort Aunt Xia, leaving only Xia Zhuxing and me in the hospital room. He pocketed the knife, his face pale. Do you think I'm beyond redemption now? I remained silent. This is good, really good, Xia Zhuxing murmured to himself. I'm still alive, Xia Chen is safe. Probably won't outscore you this year. Guess I'll retake the exams next year. Never thought I'd still end up like this after getting a second chance, but I'm content. Well, whatever happens from now on, just don't regret the choices you've made. With those final words, I turned and walked away. After the second mock exams, each day seemed to hit fast forward. Sunrise, sunset, waking, eating, studying, sleeping, nothing more. I'm grateful to be someone who handles pressure well. Sticking to my study schedule and completing tasks on time gives me genuine satisfaction. Even better, my overall grades kept improving steadily. Those tiny 2 or 3 point gains were enough to brighten my whole day. Every point I score now feels like breaking new ground at this stage. With just 1 month left before the college entrance exams, Xia Zhuxing unexpectedly returned to class. He told classmates he'd learn what he could. Figuring he'd retake next year anyway, this time was just to experience the exam atmosphere. Come to think of it, Xia Zhuxing never actually sat for the exams in his previous life. He got his wish and became inseparable with Xia Chen again, their relationship even more clingy than before. I've spotted him in the cafeteria several times, phone in hand. His features relaxed with a gentle smile as he chatted with someone on the other end. Xia Chen underwent an even more dramatic transformation. She genuinely left showbiz. Rumor has it she forfeited her entire film fee as contractual penalties to her agency. Nobody knows what she's up to now. Every day after school, she'd wait for Xia Zhuxing at the gate, always carrying either a lunchbox or neatly sliced fruits. The moment Xia Zhuxing appeared, she'd flutter over to him like an affectionate little bird. That's what you'd call ride or die friendship. Yang Xinran rubbed her goosebumps while watching them. Perfect. Now they're both love-struck. Ship sailed. Bless their hearts. I chimed in, still mentally chewing on that math problem. The college entrance exam countdown loomed larger each day. Every morning, the entire class would instinctively glance at those digits upon entering. On Dragon Boat Festival, Teacher Cho hung a zongzi above the classroom door, making each student give it a symbolic head bump for luck. When it was Xia Zhuxing's turn, he didn't step forward. A mocking voice sneered. At least he knows his limits. Missing so many classes, wearing a pyramid hat won't solve his urgent problems. The remark instantly froze the previously cheerful atmosphere. Xia Zhuxing slammed his pen on the desk and stormed out of the classroom. On June 7th, a light drizzle fell from the sky, breaking the sweltering heat that had lingered for days. We sat inside the examination hall, listening to the rhythmic patter of rain outside. The 2-day exam ended swiftly. The moment I capped my pen felt like sealing away a treasured chest of youth. With Gaokao finally over, liberated students bolted from the exam rooms, whooping and sprinting through the drizzling rain. I felt neither overwhelming relief nor lingering emptiness. It was just like finishing any ordinary exam. My body clock woke me the next morning, and I instinctively reached for my vocabulary notebook before realizing the exams were over. I stared blankly at the ceiling, only then feeling true physical and mental relaxation wash over me. The post-college entrance exam vacation is one of life's rare moments of pure leisure. Yang Xinran and I signed up for driving lessons together. after 20-some days under the sun. We'd both tanned at least 2 shades darker despite slathering on sunscreen. Score release day came sooner than expected. 4. Just as I'd anticipated, my results never showed up, but Yang Xinran called me thrilled. Her scores surpassed expectations, guaranteeing her admission to Central University of Finance and Economics. I was genuinely happy for her. Before long, our home phone rang with calls from Tsinghua and Peking University. Though my parents knew my academic performance had always been steady, they still couldn't contain their joy. Soon after, I learned my score, 728 points. Ranking first in the entire province. In my previous life, my scores were decent but never made me the provincial top scorer. My parents took me on a trip to Beijing where we hit all the major landmarks. We indulged in Peking duck at Ciji Minfu, hot pot at Nanmen Xuanru, and that bizarre-tasting fermented mung bean juice. I visited the shores of Weiming Lake at Peking University and had Mom take my photo, thinking it'd be fun to compare later. After over a week of traveling, Mom asked me to deliver souvenirs to Xie Zhuxing the moment we got home, with strict instructions not to bring up academic results. Truth is, I'd topped the provincial exams while Xie, who'd always outscored me, barely cracked 500 points this time. Outsiders might call it unfair that he scored decently without trying, but that number was nothing short of humiliation for someone like him. Doesn't matter anyway, he'll be retaking the exams next year. This is just going through the motions. I knocked on Xie Zhuxing's door, only to find Xia Chen answering. She gave me a surprised look and said, "Well, if it isn't our top scholar." Xie Zhuxing was slicing watermelon when he saw me. With calm composure, he asked, "Did you enjoy Beijing?" He motioned for Xia Chen to hand me a slice of watermelon. I set down the gift box in my hands and shook my head without taking it. "It's alright, the subway was packed. Congratulations," Xie Zhuxing said, looking straight at me. "Thanks," I replied with a faint smile. "Give it your best shot next year." Xia Chen turned her intense gaze towards Xie Zhuxing. "Could you aim for top honors next year? The male lead in my drama is this genius who knows everything, like a walking encyclopedia. Could you be my leading man?" With that, she wrapped her arms around Xie Zhuxing's neck, her gaze smoldering. The corner of my mouth twitched as I immediately turned to leave. Our class held a graduation party in a massive KTV room packed with people. While rumors said another class occupied the neighboring, ear-splitting screeches pierced through everyone's skulls. Someone had requested Emile Chao's classic Friends. Through the years, we'll always be friends. Those days will never return. A few guys even got misty-eyed. My usually calm heartstrings were unexpectedly plucked. Youth comes but once. We must cherish this unadulterated moment. In my past life, I skipped the college entrance exam because of Xie Zhuxing, and my mood was so affected that I didn't even attend the reunion. Looking back now, what a foolish decision that was. Life's most precious moments shouldn't be missed because of worthless people. Knock knock, the private room door knocked. We thought it was a waiter bringing drinks, but surprisingly it turned out to be a guy from another class. "Well, look who's here, Mian Ge." Captain Qin gracing us with his presence. Bottoms up isn't too much to ask, right? A guy handed him a drink. "He's on the school basketball team." "Qin Mian," Yang Xinran whispered in my ear. "I think he's checking you out." I looked up to see Qin Mian down his drink in one go. His toned arms flexed under the gray tee, radiating that sunny, athletic charm. Our eyes locked across the room. He immediately dodged away, looking visibly uncomfortable with the tips of his ears turning red. "Me, our class is playing truth or dare," Qin Mian said in his clear voice, scratching his head awkwardly. "They dared me to hug a girl from your class. I'll just stay here for a bit. Don't you guys? That's cheating. Come on Mian, don't be a sore loser. Just say who you wanna hug." "No way, it's not fair to take advantage of her like that." Qin Mian stopped joking with our male classmates. "I'll go back and drink my penalty shots. You guys have fun." With that, he left. "He seems kinda simple-minded. Are all jocks like that?" Yang Xinran chuckled. I asked. "He's an athlete." "Yeah, I heard he's actually a national second-grade athlete who got admitted to Beijing Sport University without exams. Don't get me wrong, he's objectively handsome, but I prefer the gentle, refined type." Yang Xinran took a sip of juice. "I'm determined to have a passionate college romance." "Oh, this is mine and Chisu's song." We grabbed the mics and sang one like summer, one like autumn in exaggerated falsetto. As the gathering wound down, people started making bathroom runs before leaving the KTV. Yang Xinran and I lived in opposite directions. After waving goodbye, I spotted a tall figure standing nearby, broad-shouldered with long legs, pretending to scan a shared bike with his phone. I walked toward the bus stop without taking my eyes off it. A man's voice spoke up. Chisu." Someone called my name. I halted mid-step and turned to see Qin Mian striding toward me before stopping right in front of me. The dim lighting in the private room earlier had obscured his features, but now I could finally see him clearly. Must be that athletic types have flawless skin, not a single visible pore, thick brows, big eyes, and lashes longer than most girls. How is that even fair? Did you need something? I asked. Nah, Qin Mian's forced casualness only made him appear more nervous. I shot him an exasperated glance. Qin Mian blinked awkwardly. So, congrats on acing your college entrance exams. Yeah. I did pretty well, really pleased with it. I couldn't hold back a chuckle. Seems like you've got something to tell me. Right. Qin Mian nodded, then after a moment seemed to gather his courage and spoke slowly. Actually, the girl I wanted to hug earlier was you. I was going to confess publicly, but after thinking it through, it didn't seem appropriate. Matters of the heart should be private. I like you. That's something just between us. Having so many people watching would only make you uncomfortable. No, wait. What I really meant to say was, you like me. I tilted my head slightly, meeting the gaze of the tall boy before me. Qin Mian's Adam's apple bobbed, but this time his eyes didn't waver, steadfast and sincere. Yes, I like you, Chi-Su. I was genuinely surprised. After all, I'd barely had any interaction with him before. I'm afraid if I don't say it now, I'll never get another chance. Qin Mian took a deep breath. Remember during our freshman military training, you fainted, and since your squad was next to mine, I carried you to the infirmary. You were so light. Then another time when the physics teacher called me to the office for extra practice, you casually pointed out the right answer for one multiple-choice question. You were always so kind. I looked completely blank, having no recollection. You came to watch one of our basketball games. I got so pumped up that I crushed your class team. After the match, I saw you give Xia Zhuxing a bottle of water. When I asked around, I learned you two were childhood friends. That's when I knew I didn't stand a chance. Qin Mian's expression turned gloomy. I'm terrible. When I heard Xia Zhuxing was dating someone, I secretly hoped they'd never break up so you wouldn't end up with him. But then I realized, even without Xia Zhuxing, there'd always be other smart, handsome guys. Someone like me, all brawn and no brains, would never catch your eye. It never occurred to me that while I'd been secretly crushing on Xia Zhuxing, there was another boy quietly pining for me all along. His love was tender and pure, like crystal clear water. It made me realize that even during those years when I thought myself plain, unremarkable, and ordinary, someone could still cherish me exactly as I was. Thank you for telling me this, I said, my eyes growing slightly moist. I stopped having feelings for Xia Zhuxing long ago, and there's no one else now. I've applied to Peking University Medical School. College life might be just as demanding as senior year, so romance isn't something I'm considering anytime soon. And I understand, Qin Mian replied, pressing his lips together. Just knowing you don't see my confession as a burden is enough for me, Chi-Su, no matter what. I only wish you happiness in the days to come. Thank you, same to you, I said with a soft laugh. Qin Mian froze momentarily before breaking into a smile. Mind if I walk you to the bus stop up ahead? He asked. I nodded. Sure, let's go. With visible contentment, Qin Mian matched my pace, strolling leisurely on the outer side. He didn't force conversation, simply walking that short distance with me in comfortable silence. As the bus arrived, I waved goodbye through the window. When the acceptance letter came, college life suddenly felt real for the first time. Yang Xinran and I got our driver's licenses this summer, dyed our hair together, followed some beauty influencers, and started learning makeup. As the new semester approached, we took the same high-speed train to Beijing West Station before going our separate ways in Haidian District. Lying in my dorm bed, I learned from a call with my mom that Xia Zhuxing had opted against retaking college entrance exams, instead enrolling directly at a second-tier university in Hangzhou. Xia Chen landed a gig as a clothing model for Taobao-style boutiques. Since the Jiangsu-Zhejiang-Shanghai region is China's e-commerce hub with abundant opportunities, Xia Zhuxing followed suit when his girlfriend decided to relocate there. Auntie Xia predictably objected vehemently, demanding Xia choose between his girlfriend and his mother, threatening to cut ties and withhold tuition unless he retook exams. Yet none of this swayed his decision. Rumor has it that Xia Zhuxing promised Auntie Xia he'd pursue postgraduate studies at a prestigious university before leaving, but he'd made such promises too many times before. Auntie Xia didn't buy it for a second. She just told him to get lost and pretended she never had the son. Honestly, I wasn't particularly moved. Nothing Xia Zhuxing decides these days would surprise me. And just like that, college life began. I'm enrolled in an 8-year MD-PhD program in clinical medicine. With good grades, I might qualify for residency training directly in the 8th year. Taking the Hippocratic Oath made me tangibly feel one step closer to my dream career. Medical school is as grueling as I imagined, but since I'm passionate about the field, I actually enjoy the grind. Seasons cycle as sun and moon alternate. Seasons came and went as I shed my youthful naivety, honed my skills, published several SCI papers, and secured a permanent position at a top-tier hospital during my residency. My senior from the same university, who's planning an academic exchange abroad this year, insisted on treating me to dinner upon hearing I'd soon complete my residency. We hit it off immediately, trekking halfway across town from Haidian to Chaoyang for that Yunnan restaurant at Solana, 2 hours in line later. We stuffed ourselves silly. Ugh, thinking about surviving on dry burgers and fries makes me want to cancel my trip. My senior chuckled. They say everyone who goes to Britain ends up becoming a chef. I patted her shoulder. Senior, I've got high hopes for you. My senior drove me to the subway station. Back at the staff dorm, I headed to the parcel shelf looking for the fruits I'd ordered through the app. Just then, the phone rang. MS, Chi. Mind if I leave your delivery on the shelf? That voice sounded familiar. No, more than familiar. It sounded like it was right beside me. I turned around slowly to see a deliverman in yellow uniform holding up his phone. Our eyes met, and the air froze between us. It was Xie Zhuxing. During my first 2 years of college, I'd returned during breaks and saw Xie Zhuxing a few times. He was still with Xia Chen, their relationship rock solid, even without parental support. They never seemed the least bit down on their luck. Xia Chen ran an online boutique selling women's fashion while building her personal styling brand on social media. Her e-shop was doing quite well. After my parents moved to Beijing, I never went back, and it had been 6 years since I last saw Xie Zhuxing. We were no longer naive 18-year-olds. Standing before me was Xie Zhuxing, now approaching 27. The youthful spark was gone from him, replaced by exhaustion and weariness in his eyes, though still young. He carried himself like someone weathered by life's hardships. Words momentarily failed me. Xie Zhuxing handed me the bag. Chi Su, long time no see. Yeah, it's been ages, I replied flatly, perhaps noticing my confusion. Xie Zhuxing explained, business has been tough these years. The online store went under. Still owe the factory over 100 grand in final payments, and Xia Chen's grandmother fell ill this year. I nodded thoughtfully. Don't look at me like that. Xie Zhuxing gave a bitter laugh. I managed all right. Actually got into grad school eventually, but back then the online store was doing well and short-handed, so I skipped it. The school wasn't great anyway. Now I'm a code monkey, doing food deliveries nights when I'm off work. Oh, and my sons do any day now. His matter-of-fact delivery shocked me with every sentence, though upon reflection it all made sense. Isn't this just how ordinary lives go? Nobody's any better than anybody else. Congratulations on becoming a dad, I offered my heartfelt blessings. Xie Zhuxing looked up at the staff dormitory behind me, his eyes betraying unmistakable melancholy. Gotta run, my next delivery's almost late. With a chuckle, he sped off on his e-bike. With a rare day off tomorrow, I made plans with Yang Xinran to go clothes shopping. After graduating college, Yang Xinran didn't pursue grad school, nor did she land a job related to her major. With fancy bubble tea brands popping up everywhere these years, she franchised a chain store and became her own boss, raking in serious cash. She jets off to influencer hotspots between changing boyfriends. She's on her third now, some adorable younger guy, living life on easy mode. We met at Shidon Joy City and shopped till our legs gave out. Heading upstairs for dinner, we bumped into someone familiar. Remember us? Yang Xinran, ever the social butterfly, walked right up and struck up conversation. The man looked slightly startled at first, then broke into a bright smile, flashing his pearly whites. Chi Su, what a coincidence, Qin Mian said, turning his gaze toward me. Tisk tsk, should I make myself scarce? Yang Xinran teased with a mischievous grin. Qin Mian had grown to at least 6'3", shedding his former boyish awkwardness for an air of composed maturity. The three of us shared a table, and when we asked why he was dining alone, we learned Qin Mian had opened a gym nearby. I thought you'd pursue athletics professionally, Yang Xinran remarked. Qin Mian arranged chopsticks for us and said regretfully, I was supposed to go pro, but then I tore my meniscus and Achilles tendon. The team politics got exhausting too, so I quit. Now basketball's just a hobby. Opening a gym in this neighborhood, impressive, Yang Xinran gave a thumbs up. Qin Mian rubbed his nose sheepishly, got some help from family with rent at first, but things are steady now. We've got decent membership numbers these past 2 years. Still talking. He scanned the menu and asked about my dietary restrictions. No awful. You know how it is, I said with a raised eyebrow and a chuckle. Totally get it. You med folks can't stomach that stuff. Qin Mian passed us the menu. Order whatever. This one's on me. Midway through dinner, Yang Xinran excused herself to the restroom, then texted me moments later. Dr. Chi, seal the deal. Swallowing my food, I locked eyes with the man across the table. When did you get married? Oh, you noticed. Qin Mian tapped his phone screen displaying a wedding photo. Just registered before New Year's. We'd dated 3 years. Everything clicked. So we took the plunge. Nodding in agreement, I said, truly. Finding the right person isn't easy. Back in school days, we all chased after pure romance. When the chemistry's right, everything else falls into place. 5. As adults, priorities multiply. Houses, cars, education, careers, family backgrounds laid out like price tags. Nobody escapes the weight of practical considerations. What about you? Qin Mian ladled soup into my bowl. You must be swamped most days. He knew when to stop. I'm constantly swamped with work, but do have downtime occasionally, during grad school. I dated a senior in my program for less than a year before we amicably split up. He moved to Singapore with his family. We've stayed in touch ever since. He's remarkably humble, emotionally grounded, and blessed with striking good looks, practically flawless. Even after breaking up, he'd patiently help me with any academic questions I had. We seem better suited as friends than lovers, Qin Mian said calmly. Romance doesn't always need an outcome. Having this experience in life is valuable enough. True, I replied, slowly chewing a piece of beef I'd just picked up. After dinner, Qin Mian and I left Joy City together when his wife called, ran into an old classmate and had dinner together. Qin Mian said on speakerphone. A gentle female voice responded, male or female, if it's a girl, you should drive her home since it's so late. I shook my head at Qin Mian. Qin Mian replied, she says it's not necessary. You're hopeless as a straight man. If you hadn't met me, you'd probably die single. I listened to their bickering with great amusement. The ride-hail car arrived shortly after. Waving goodbye to Qin Mian through the window again felt like lifetimes had passed. Opening WeChat, I saw my ex had sent me a photo minutes ago, a British shorthair curled up on a cat tree. He'd always wanted a cat, and now his wish finally came true. I replied with just cute, gazing at the fleeting nightscape outside the window, feeling completely at ease. All the friends who've crossed my path have found their own happiness now. How wonderful. I'm genuinely happy for them. The more I witnessed as a practicing physician, the more powerless I often felt. After overcoming countless obstacles to become a surgeon, I still find myself helpless against diseases modern medicine cannot conquer. These harsh realities bring profound sorrow to every living soul they touch. The platitude "what will be" brings me no comfort. The aunt who just brought us a basket of homegrown eggs last month suddenly took a sharp turn for the worse. Colleagues often say doctors shouldn't harbor compassion. But as human beings, how can we not grieve witnessing life wither away? I saw Xie Zhuxing again 2 years later, cradling a child in his arms. It took me a long moment to recognize the woman behind me. It was Xia Chen. She'd put on quite some weight, but her complexion remained that delicate pinkish white. Her features were largely unchanged, just softened with a newfound fullness. The ground floor clinic bustled with patients. Footsteps hurried between registration counters and pharmacy windows. Xie Zhuxing spotted me, murmured something to Xia Chen over his shoulder, then walked straight toward me. He hadn't changed much in 2 years, though life had etched faint weariness around his eyes. His plaid shirt was faded from washing, canvas shoes peeling at the seams, yet the child in his arms was neatly dressed and utterly adorable. Chi Su, Xie Zhuxing looked me up and down. Which department are you in? Gynecology. I replied. Who's sick? My son's been coughing lately, so we're here for a checkup, Xie Zhuxing said with concern. Xia Chen happened to come for a physical exam too. Oh, you'd better hurry then, I said calmly, smiling at the child in his arms. Your son is adorable, that's the honest truth. The little one inherited all the best traits from both parents and is absolutely adorable. Raising kids is no easy task, Xie Zhuxing suddenly mused, then hesitantly added, by the way, when your Class A hospital's information system hires, do they prioritize candidates with government backgrounds? I'm not really sure about that, I replied. Xie Zhuxing let out a quiet sigh, looking somewhat embarrassed. The company did layoffs at year-end, so I'm currently unemployed and living off savings. If you happen to know anyone hiring IT professionals, could you put in a word for me? Most of my circle are in the medical field, so I'm afraid I can't be of much help, right? Of course. A look of realization crossed Xie Zhuxing's face as he forced a weak smile. I'll let you get back to your work then. Sorry to bother you. Xie Zhuxing left carrying his child, though Xia Chen didn't follow immediately. She waited until father and son had entered the elevator before approaching to speak with me. My period has been really irregular lately. What's going on? After a moment's thought, I said, could be hormonal imbalance. Let's run an estrogen panel and do an ultrasound. Xia fixed me with this complicated look when I said that. What's wrong? I asked, confused. What's with you doctors? Can't answer anything properly. Just ordering piles of tests left and right, getting kickbacks. Huh, Xia gave me a loaded look. We're old acquaintances at least, cut me some slack. It's not like ultrasounds are rocket science. I've had them during prenatal checks. Won't drain your precious hospital resources. Sorry, but I don't own the hospital. Just a staff physician here. Not exactly swimming in privileges. I shrugged helplessly. Pfft. Bet you docs get free scans whenever you sneeze. Xia scoffed. Fine. Forget it, regular folks like us can't afford to throw money at hospitals. Getting checked is advisable if you're feeling unwell. Done arguing. I turned to leave. Hearing the term ordinary folks come out of Xia mouth struck me as oddly comical. Had she not bullied classmates and thrown her weight around, she might have been a rising star in showbiz by now, even if not top tier, at least not scraping together medical fees. Yet what blindsided me was seeing Xia reappear in my life through a cervical cancer screening report. When the lab results came in, my colleague clicked her tongue at the screen. Damn, not even 30, she muttered, with multiple high-risk markers showing positive. Hearing how young the patient was, my eyes instinctively darted to the screen. Professional habit made me scan the pathology report first before my gaze traveled upward to the patient's name, Xia. My eyelid twitched involuntarily. Was this just a coincidence of names? HPV screening categorizes strains as high risk or low risk. Xiaochun's lab results showed positive markers for high risk types 16, 18, and 52, red flags strongly indicating cervical cancer. How could things escalate like this in just over a year? HPV infections can potentially clear on their own, but cervical cancer develops through persistent, recurring infections largely influenced by partners. If a man engages in risky sexual behaviors, he may transmit the virus to his female partner. HPV often remains asymptomatic in males. Xia Zhuxing's face flashed before my eyes. That afternoon during my regular clinic hours, I made eye contact with an entering patient. Hey, Xia maintained her usual cheerful demeanor. Are my test results ready? The self-service kiosk showed nothing. Lately I've been bleeding unexpectedly, can't even go without pads. It's nothing serious, right? I hesitated momentarily before asking, didn't Xia Zhuxing come with you? Him, always busy. She shrugged dismissively. So are those results available or not? Can I check them on my phone? Show me how. I turned on my computer and pulled up the lab report, stating bluntly, several high-risk markers came back positive, which strongly indicates cervical cancer. The examination room fell deathly silent. Xia froze momentarily before whispering a single word, cancer. I nodded. We should schedule an MRI for further confirmation. No way, absolutely not. Xia kept shaking her head frantically. You've made a mistake. I'm still so young. How could I possibly have cancer? It must be a misdiagnosis. The chance of misdiagnosis is very slim, but you could get checked at another hospital. Speaking out of professional responsibility, I added, the sooner the better. Don't delay. Xia trembled uncontrollably, tears welling up in her eyes as she buried her face in her hands, shoulders shaking. It can't be. It just can't. Medical technology keeps advancing. Just focus on cooperating with the treatment. I handed her 2 tissues. Xia covered her face and ran out of the consultation room. I let out a soft sigh and shook my head helplessly. 2 weeks later, Xia Zhuxing and Xia came to the hospital together. While Xia went for blood work, Xia Zhuxing nervously showed me her test results. Asking, Chi-Su, what's going on? Is it serious? Will surgery help? The test results showed invasive squamous cell carcinoma of the cervix. My breath hitched. Stage 2 surgery feasibility still requires evaluation. I locked eyes with Xia Zhuxing. Why did you wait this long to get checked? She thought it was just irregular periods and didn't take it seriously. Xia Zhuxing turned pale, staring fixedly at the test results. What do we do? How do I tell Xia our child is still so young? Xia Zhuxing. I called his name accusingly. Are you seeing someone else? Xia Zhuxing froze momentarily, looking at me bewildered. Someone? What do you mean, women? Have you been sleeping around with random women? Xia Zhuxing's pupils contracted sharply. I haven't. I stared at him silently. After a long pause, Xia Zhuxing's tense shoulders finally relaxed. Sometimes during business dinners, colleagues go to KTVs and hire escorts, when everyone does it. Refusing would make me stand out. I shut my eyes briefly, fists clenched. So hiring prostitutes is just routine for you. Xia Zhuxing hung his head, staring silently at the medical report. I've wronged Xia, but she drove me to this, she's the one who pushed me, he muttered. I tolerated her flirting with random men online, sending them photos. She mocked my declining performance these years, but look at her, always disheveled. Her body ruined after childbirth, completely let herself go, lazy as hell, hasn't changed a single diaper since our son was born, no makeup, no effort, and I'm supposed to wait on her after work. Xie Zhuxing's voice grew increasingly agitated, as if years of pent-up emotions were finally erupting. Enough, I have other patients waiting, please leave, I couldn't care less about these trivial matters. Xie Zhuxing kept staring at the document, his eyes reddening. Even so, I never considered leaving her. At worst, we'd muddle through life together. But why? Chi-Su, you're a medical doctor, can't you save Xia Chen? My son can't grow up without his mother. I listened quietly, sensing those final words came straight from his heart. Many couples end up staying together out of habit, even when they can't stand the sight of each other. Yet seeing Xie Zhuxing standing before me still stirred unexpected emotions. Had Xie Zhuxing not gotten together with Xia Chen and instead entered Tsinghua as expected, what kind of life would he be living now? Fate gave him a second chance, and he still managed to screw it up completely. The Xie Zhuxing of today has lost the halo of his student days. He's become utterly ordinary, not just in appearance, but in character. I couldn't bring myself to tell Xia Chen about Xie Zhuxing's visits to prostitutes. That's private family business. Nor could I definitively claim his promiscuity caused her cancer. It merely increased the risk, not guaranteed it. As a doctor, the most I could do was deliver the medical diagnosis. A month later, Xie Zhuxing somehow got hold of my number. After stammering awkwardly, he asked to borrow tens of thousands for Xia Chen's surgery. Of course I didn't give it to him. He didn't say much and just hung up immediately. Xia Chen's condition has become quite severe. The surgery will likely require a hysterectomy. As her doctor, I sincerely hope the procedure goes smoothly. In the second half of the year, I went to Ruijin Hospital in Shanghai for an exchange program. After it concluded, I visited my hometown with my parents. The brief 3-day vacation flew by, and before I knew it, I was back at work in Beijing. After finishing my morning rounds, I heard loud arguing outside as I came downstairs, with quite a crowd gathering to watch. I kept walking forward when a familiar woman's voice caught my ear. The couple embroiled in the argument turned out to be Xie Zhuxing and Xia Chen. Xia Chen looked genuinely unwell, a far cry from her former radiant self. Her complexion was sallow, lips pale, appearing utterly frail. That woman just told me to check if my husband's been cheating, otherwise I'd never have gotten this disease. Xia Chen's eyes burned red with hatred. Xie Zhuxing, swear to me you've never betrayed me. Have you lost your mind? Xie Zhuxing glanced at the gathering crowd, his face flushing with embarrassment. Xia Chen sneered, guilty conscience, then swear on our son's life that you've never paid for sex. Shut up. Xie Zhuxing glared furiously. How could your cancer be my fault? Don't pretend you haven't been sneaking around with men. I've tolerated your affairs long enough. You caught this disease whoring around, yet dare blame me. Serves you right. No, I didn't. Xia Chen shook her head violently while screaming in denial. I've never betrayed you. Xie Zhuxing, you promised to protect me forever. How could you sleep with another woman? I bore your child. And you? Xia Chen's face twisted in pain as she clutched her abdomen, appearing heartbreakingly fragile. As Xie Zhuxing moved to steady her swaying figure, Xia Chen suddenly sank her teeth into his ear. Gasps erupted from the onlookers. Xie Zhuxing grimaced in pain, clutching Xia Chen's hair so fiercely that he tore out a handful before finally wrenching free. Blood filled Xia Chen's mouth as she suddenly burst into laughter, staring at Xie Zhuxing with mocking contempt. You're insane, completely deranged. Xie Zhuxing spat, blood streaming from his ear as he glared down at Xia Chen. Without me, you'd have died in that online witch hunt years ago. You should be thanking me for those extra years of life. With those words, he turned, his distant gaze abruptly locking with mine. Xie Zhuxing froze abruptly, staring at me blankly. I locked eyes with Xie Zhuxing in wordless silence. Xie Zhuxing, do you remember what you said? Why didn't I know Xia Chen since childhood? I'll tutor her with schoolwork and give her candy as a reward for good grades. Seeing her bouncing with energy before me again, I swore silently to protect her for life. How could you now turn around and stab the very girl you vowed to protect with your life? Has your fiery passion been extinguished so quickly by mundane routines? Do you still remember how you mercilessly killed me in our past life? All for that girl. Xie Zhuxing averted his gaze and strode away through the crowd. Xia Chen collapsed on the floor, her hair disheveled, her face as pale as paper, fragile as if she might shatter at any moment. Someone stepped forward to help her up, only to be met with a torrent of curses. With no afternoon clinic scheduled, I wrapped up my ongoing research project and curled up in my dorm watching an old black and white film. My phone buzzed with an unfamiliar text message. Dr. Chi, this is Xing Jian. I'm currently inspecting our Beijing branch operations. If convenient, I'd be honored to invite you to a pharmaceutical symposium. Xing Jian, 6. The name rang faintly familiar. And after a few seconds it clicked. He was a patient's relative I'd met during my exchange program in Shanghai. Xing Jian's mother had uterine polyps. I'd answered his numerous questions before and after her surgery, and through these interactions we became acquainted. Though Xing Jian graduated from medical school, he never practiced clinically, after working as a pharmaceutical rep for several years. He founded his own pharmaceutical company in his early 30s, quite the impressive young achiever. I replied promptly, apologies, but I'm scheduled for night shifts all week and won't be available. Thank you for the kind invitation though. The messages stopped coming. Just before falling asleep, another text from Xing Jian arrived. No, to be precise, it was an MMS. Attached was an image showing lengthy handwritten text in fountain pen. The handwriting is bold and vigorous. Dr. Chi. I apologize for disturbing you so late. Forgive me for agonizing for hours yet still lacking the courage to call and confess my admiration directly. It's almost laughable. Here I am at 30, never having been in a proper relationship, buried in studies during school years, then consumed by work after entering society. Before I knew it, everyone around me was getting married. I'd once thought spending life alone wouldn't be so bad, until I realized my feelings for you, your intellect, your kindness, that smile when you heard my mother's surgery went well. I've treasured these memories. These past months I've wanted to reach out, but could never find adequate pretext. If you're willing, might you grant me the chance to court you? This is my first time expressing affection to a woman. If I've made you uncomfortable, I'm deeply sorry. Sweet dreams tonight, Xing Jian. When I reached the final character, my heartbeat inexplicably quickened. My impression of Xing Jian seems frozen at that moment in the hospital corridor, shirt sleeves rolled to his forearms, adjusting his glasses with one hand while issuing stern instructions to his assistant. For such an aloof workaholic to express affection through handwritten letters is truly, I can't quite put this feeling into words. After saving the number with a new contact name, I replied, maybe we could start as friends first, and see if romance might blossom. The person on the other end seemed glued to their phone, responding almost immediately. Understood. During my courtship, if anything makes you uncomfortable, you have every right to call it off. A few days later, Xing Jian came to Beijing and we had dinner together. His nervousness was palpable. The harder he tried to appear composed, the more his endearingly awkward sincerity shone through. His flustered grip on the cutlery kept me laughing throughout the meal. During Xing Jian's 2-month business trip in Beijing, we met whenever our schedules aligned, and I gradually discovered remarkable compatibility between us. The other day at the mall, I ran into twins and asked him, how many kids do you plan to have? He paused momentarily before replying thoughtfully, I don't have the biological capacity for childbirth. The number of children isn't my decision to make. That choice belongs solely to women. After a long silence, his voice tinged with melancholy, he continued, my parents divorced when I was very young. That's probably why I'm rather detached emotionally. My mother raised me single-handedly until she remarried and I gained a little sister. She nearly died giving birth. Later I learned through research that maternal mortality during childbirth is frighteningly common. Indeed, I said, with conditions like amniotic fluid embolism, it's nearly impossible to snatch someone back from death's grip. Xing Jian hesitated. Words caught in his throat. I couldn't help smiling. What's wrong? What did you want to say? Xing Jian seemed to struggle for words. I wanted to say, if we do end up together, you don't have to have children if you don't want to. But that sounds like I'm robbing you of motherhood. Ultimately, the choice is yours. Then he caught himself and gave a rueful laugh. Damn it, we're not even officially together yet and I'm already. I interrupted him. Let's hold hands when we walk from the mall to the parking spot later. Xing Jian froze momentarily. Then a glimmer of amusement lit his eyes as he replied, okay. His palm was warm and dry as it gently enveloped my slightly cool fingertips. Nervousness was written all over Xing Jian's face when he opened the car door and fastened my seatbelt, his subtle cologne drifting toward me. This was the first time we'd been so close. After that day, we naturally became official. Xing Jian's company was based in Shanghai, but he frequently flew to Beijing for work, making our long-distance relationship feel surprisingly effortless. My mother's call brought the news Xia Chen had passed away last week. Her final wish was to be buried beside her grandmother. After years of estrangement, Xie Zhuxing finally swallowed his pride and asked Aunt Xie to help raise his child. It had been 3 years since I last saw Xie Zhuxing. now promoted to associate chief physician. I'd just married Xing Jian last month. After finishing afternoon clinic, Xing Jian came to pick me up for dinner when we unexpectedly ran into Xia Zhuxing outside a pharmacy. His transformation was so drastic I wouldn't have recognized him had he not called out to me. Stubble-covered chin, greasy hair, clothes that looked like they hadn't been washed for days, with a cigarette dangling from his mouth. Your husband. He glanced at Xing Jian in the car with a suggestive smirk. MHM. I responded flatly. Nice, real nice. Xia Zhuxing narrowed his eyes slightly, took a deep drag of his cigarette, then turned and walked away. I have no idea about Xia Zhuxing's current situation, nor do I care to find out, yet the unexpected still happened. After my night shift that evening, a man reeking of tobacco clamped his hand over my mouth and dragged me into a dark alley. Chi Su, why do we both get second chances while you're living the high life? Xia Zhuxing choked me violently. Let's die together again. This time I swear I'll never acknowledge that jinx Xia Chun. She ruined everything. I wouldn't be this pathetic without her. Xia Zhuxing's grip tightened relentlessly, cutting off my air. Know what? I've got AIDS. Some filthy whore gave it to me. Missed the pep window. Xia Zhuxing's eyes gleamed with madness. Let me sink my teeth into your neck. We'll rot together. Yeah, fuck off. I spat in his face. His expression twisted with perverse excitement as he bared his teeth toward me. Thud. He suddenly froze completely and collapsed to the ground. Still shaken, Xing Jian lifted me with trembling hands and immediately called the police. The surveillance footage captured Xia Zhuxing's actions crystal clear. He's facing jail time. Unfortunately, Xia Zhuxing's condition deteriorated during incarceration. After applying for medical parole and enduring repeated setbacks, he ultimately succumbed to his illness. I felt little sympathy, just that karma had caught up with a wicked man. My heart only aches for that child, now left orphaned. After marrying Xing Jian, we'd both been consumed by work. Now with our schedules finally cleared, we could embark on our long-delayed honeymoon. The plane began taxiing